When it comes to running and building a business, obviously talent acquisition is a huge part of your success. And that's why it's so important to stay up to date with recruiting trends. So in this video, I'll be going over the top trends and strategies for 2024. These are things that we're going to implement within our own teams, as well as for the teams of our clients. So just a little bit of background, I'm one of the co-CEOs of Paired Recruiting. We basically help companies find the top 1% of overseas talent while helping them save up to 90% on their payroll costs. I've been hiring overseas for many, many years, and you want to use cutting edge technologies for your recruiting. So number one on the list is a more data-driven approach to recruiting. I'll say this over and over again, but data is just so important. And I think a lot of companies, they're starting to realize that recruiting, it's basically a big branch of their business. They need to treat it like one. So they're really focusing more time on reports, analyzing them, and actually using data to increase the speed and efficiency of hiring. For example, what percent of people are filling out a resume, what percent are moving on to an interview, how effective are different sourcing strategies, percentage of offer acceptance, things like that. In terms of assessments, what assessments are actually useful, how effective are they at actually figuring if this person is good for this position or not. And yeah, any good company out there, they're putting a lot more emphasis on this data-driven approach to recruiting. So it's definitely something that I recommend learning about and implementing into your own business. Second is a more personalized candidate experience. So obviously recruiting can be pretty menial, it can be sort of numbers game, but I think a lot of companies, they're starting to realize that in order to attract the best talent, you need to have a very personalized approach when it comes to recruiting. So especially with a lot of tools out there like AI-driven tools, people are getting a lot better at really personalizing messages, actively reaching out to people on platforms like LinkedIn, and making the whole recruitment process just feel a lot more friendly. While it still is a numbers game, people do realize that the conversion rates when it's a more personalized approach is much higher. And especially if you want to find the best talent possible, these are people that are going to be reached out to a lot. And in order to stand out, you need to sell your company. And a big part of that is actually the whole recruiting process, right? If it's easy for them, if it's really personalized, if it's friendly, then they are way more likely to hop on that interview call with you, continue on with their application, things like that. While quantity is still important, like I said earlier, people are starting to realize the importance of quality over quantity. So yes, you still should reach out to a lot of people. You should still take that quantity approach, but at the same time, you really need to optimize for conversions. And a big part of that is the quality and personalization of the recruiting process. There are a lot of great tools out there that can really engage with new applicants. And for example, texting, email, like actual communication like this is extremely important to keep applicants up to date on the whole hiring process. It also just makes it feel a lot more personable, and they are just a lot more likely to continue with the application. I think more and more people are going to either use a actual personalized messaging approach or use AI to send out messages to people on platforms like LinkedIn, create actual conversations with these people before they actually pitch, hey, we are looking to fill this position, whatever it is. And yeah, more and more of these personalized conversations, it's really going to be a trend for 2024 and beyond. Next is utilizing up-and-coming technology for recruitment. As you guys know, there are so many different platforms you guys can use to make the whole recruiting process a lot easier. So over at Paired, we basically use Workable. This is a great platform to manage inbound applicants. We also take advantage of one-way video interview software. So the current one that we use is actually HireFlix. It's really great. Workable has one built into their own platform, but we find that it's not as good as HireFlix. That really just scratches the surface. There are way more complex and intricate softwares and platforms out there. We do spend a lot of time going through these platforms, seeing if they are actually a good fit for us. But what I will say is that the advancement of recruitment technology, it's getting to a point where you need to keep up to date on this. You need to know what's coming out, what's in trend. And if you're not taking advantage of these new technologies, then you're definitely going to fall behind. Now, this only applies if you're trying to hire a lot of people or you want the most efficient and good way to hire people, right? If you're hiring for a small team, then you don't necessarily need to build out all these systems. You don't need the latest tech. But for companies that do a lot of volume, they are for sure focusing on the technology. So next is an even greater emphasis on company culture. Personally, I think the most important part of company culture is not like having fun and things like that. Rather, it's for your employees to actually feel seen and heard. I think right now, a lot of companies, they don't correctly recognize the efforts of their employees, and that slowly starts to build resentment. And as we get into 2024 and beyond, more and more companies are starting to realize, hey, it's really important for us to develop this type of culture, which makes our employees feel good. That leads to higher retention, greater employee satisfaction, higher work outputs, and a lot of other things. They're also seeing that it's actually really important to create a diverse workforce. You don't want everyone in your company to have the exact same way of thinking, because that can actually stagnate a lot of your growth. People are realizing more and more that the more diversity you have, the more perspectives you have, and the better ideas can come out out of brainstorming. Next is a greater emphasis on employee retention. And I know we've sort of covered this in the previous topics, but more and more companies, they're actually focusing on keeping their current talent, having them learn and build skills, and promoting from within. I think a lot of employers are saying that, yes, a lot of people, they are bouncing around jobs because technically the more you bounce around, the higher your pay is going to be. And that's just because you can look for different raises and things like that. It's also getting quite hard to find great talent. So business owners, they are realizing the more we actually build our employees' skills from within and hire these people, the greater work satisfaction there is, the more they feel heard and seen. And it's going to actually lead to a really great workplace. So yes, employers are spending more on certifications for their staff. They're encouraging people to do more training. And yeah, they basically want their employees to gain more skill sets so they can be promoted within the company. So if you aren't doing this yet in your company, I do think that this is something that you can definitely start to implement. I mean, you're still going to have to go out and find outside talent, especially if you're growing, but something that I think you can probably place more emphasis on is hiring from within. Next, there is this sort of shift in thinking between employer and employee. So before it seemed more like it was employers thought, okay, this employee gets to work for me. Now it's starting to get more into the side where the employee is thinking, whoa, this employer, you get to have me as an employee. So that sort of leads into this whole thing of the employer doing everything they can to retain talent, make sure that they are keeping their workforce happy and really just not overworking them. Yes, employees can be replaced, but replacing employees is of course hard. Any business owner knows that you don't want to replace employees if possible. And so yeah, I do think this is a pretty good trend that should keep business owners sort of in check. So yeah, those are basically some of the most important recruitment trends happening in 2024 and beyond. Our whole goal with this channel is to keep you up to date with recruitment trends like these. Of course, I didn't cover everything. There are just so many different things we could talk about. But yeah, I think the important lesson here is you need to stay on top of trends, especially in an industry that is growing and changing so fast like recruitment. Stay informed, stay adaptable, and I think you guys will have a lot of success recruiting in 2024 and beyond. That's it for this video. Really hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys got some value from the video, make sure to hit that like button and also subscribe for more content just like this. And if you are looking for help finding the best overseas talent possible, check out our website, book a free call with us. We'll see how we can help you. Thank you so much for your time, and I'll see you in the next video.